G'day folks, and welcome to Glen Hon, Tasmania. This is the farm I've just inherited from my old man. He left me the land, sheds, and plenty of gear. But let's be honest, most of it is falling apart. Dad was never much of a farmer in the end. He spent more time down at the pub on the pokies than he did in the paddock. So, while the farm looks big, it's mostly smoke and mirrors. I sold everything I had in the big city and came back with $100,000 in the bank. Now the question is, can I take this place from a pokey-filled past to a proper future, or will I end up just like him? I do love a gamble, but let's try and keep it on the straight and narrow and see if we can build up this farm once again. Let's start with a quick tour of what we've got. We've got the family car. Handy for getting around, definitely not selling that one. Dad left me a Duke's Far 8280 TTV tractor. Not a bad tractor at all. Decent speed, good pulling power, so that's a keeper. Over here is the Bednar Omega Seeder and Fertilizer. One of the best bits of kit on the farm, so that's definitely staying. We've also got a wrapper and a round baler, but I'll sell those off and replace them with a modern all-in-one baler wrapper system. There's a tedder, which I'll keep for now, maybe upgrade it later on. The yard also has a silo, a fertilizer tank, a lime tank, and a spreader that handles both jobs. There's even a fuel tank here, but it's holding water at the moment, so we're going to drain that out and refill it with some fresh diesel. Speaking of water, in this old shed over here we've got a water tank, and off to the side we've got a forestry loader, which will definitely come in handy down the line when we start cutting down all the trees on this property. Inside one of the sheds is an old trailer. It's been here since I was a kid. That'll be sold and upgraded very soon. The cultivator's solid and worth keeping. And of course we've got a harvester. There's even a mower and a Karcher pressure washer, because as dodgy as Dad was, he did like to keep the gear clean. The house still stands as it did when I grew up. I remember waking up to the views across the valley and swimming in the river down the back on hot days. Tassie never gets too hot, but still, it was the perfect place to be a kid. Now, as for the fields, we've got 4 in total. A big field of wheat that needs harvesting right away, a soybean paddock, and 2 grass fields. Dad even bought a handful of calves, but I'll sell them off and buy in some adults when I'm ready for livestock. The neighbour's kid came around this morning looking for work. He's only 16, but he's keen, so I've put him on the header to get this wheat field done. I'll sort out the setup and run the trailers for him. It's an emergency harvest, end of the month deadline. If we don't finish today, the crop will be lost. made a few moves this month already. Sold off Dad's old trailer and replaced it with a forage harvester, only to realise it was useless for hauling wheat. Then I wasted more money on a Rudolph DK280 RP trailer. Way too small, instant regret. Sold that off, cut my losses, and upgraded to a Lizard TARDIS Tandem. Finally, a trailer big enough to handle the work. Expensive lesson, but that's farming for you. The kids stuck it out, and together we managed to finish the wheat field just in time. We pulled in around 150,000 litres, filled the grain mill to start producing flour, and sold the leftover wheat and straw. That brought in $78,307. I paid the neighbour's kid $1,769 for his help, worth every cent. I'll definitely be having him back here again. So, here we are at the end of month 1. The wheat's done, the grain mill's running, and the bank balance is sitting at $62,695. Mistakes were made, lessons learned, and a few upgrades are already in place. We've still got soybeans growing, grass ready to cut, and plenty more equipment decisions to make if we want to keep this farm alive. Next time, we'll turn our attention to the grass fields, cut and bale them, and keep the cash flowing while we wait for the soybeans to ripen. That is when the real test begins.